Meantime, we are awaiting a decision on whether or not Harvard University will fire its president, Claudine Gay. That decision could come as early as today, but there's a lot of speculation that the school could actually let her keep her job. Nearly 700 faculty members signing a letter defending her, saying, quote, "We, the undersigned faculty, urge you in the strongest possible terms to defend the independence of the university and to resist political pressures that are at odds with Harvard's commitment to academic freedom, including calls for the removal of President Claudine Gay. The critical work of defending a culture of free inquiry in our diverse community cannot proceed if we let its shape be dictated by outside forces," end quote. Shabbos Kestenbaum is a second-year grad student at Harvard. He joins me now. Shabbos, here's the moment on Capitol Hill that started it all. Watch.
The answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct. Correct.
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context.
Wow. What's it like knowing that almost 700 faculty members that teach students exactly like you apparently think calling for the genocide of Jews is, quote, free inquiry?
Yeah. So who knew that in 2023, calling for the genocide of Jewish people would be considered context dependent, according to the best academic institution in the world, and the individual who calls for that is able to keep their job. So the faculty letter talks about the importance of resisting outside political pressure. And I would actually agree with that. I'm hardly a billionaire, but I certainly welcome open discourse concerning the university's hiring and firing practices and their fair enforcement of the student conduct standards, something that we have not seen before. I'm also one of 1,000 current students and alumni who've called for the president to resign. So what I would ask those faculty, and I certainly disagree with them respectfully, but I would ask them to, number one, talk to us, talk to Jewish students and see what our experience has been the past 3 months. And then I would also ask them, what if this was a different minority? What if Claudine Gay had said this about Black people, about gay people, about Asian Americans? Would you be as defensive as you would be now? And let's also be very clear, under Claudine Gay's leadership of the last 3 months, there has been an almost complete destruction of Harvard's reputation, the loss of more than $1 billion in donations, 2 different congressional investigations, calls for further federal action, charges of plagiarism and falsifying her own data in her dissertation, a total moral abdication of leadership. So I'm confused as to why people ask me why I think that she should resign, as opposed to me asking them, why should she stay?
Shabbos, you're asking for basically an open dialogue. That's what it sounds like you're asking for. Seems like the Harvard president and the faculty asking for the same thing because they're all shouting about free speech. So it's important to take these latest rankings into account. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression ranking Harvard last in its college free speech ranking. Quote, first of all, Harvard, which on paper commits to protecting free speech, has a dismal record of responding to deplatforming attempts to sanction students, student groups, scholars, and speakers for speech protected under First Amendment standards. Of 9 attempts in total over the past 5 years, 7 resulted in sanction. Shabbos, where was the Harvard president and all these faculty members when the students came to those faculty members complaining that their voices on campus were silenced?
That's a great question. I mean, I certainly welcome the sudden interest in commitments to free expression and the First Amendment, but we have to keep in mind that this is a president whose university mandates that all students attend a Title IX training where they are told that cis, hetero, sexism, and fat phobia are forms of violence, using the wrong pronouns as a form of abuse, where Ronald Sullivan, who was a beloved professor, was fired for representing an objectionable client, where only 3% of the faculty openly identify as conservative, and as you said, ranked 248 out of 248 universities when it came to free speech. So the fact that we would love to do something for Jewish students and protect Jewish students, but we just can't because we have a commitment to the First Amendment, when you and I both know that Harvard does not have a legal obligation to protect students who are engaging in violent rhetoric concerning Jewish students, and they don't have historical precedent of ever enforcing these policies to begin with. Just last year, when a student was engaged in a homophobic incident, he was condemned almost immediately and he was expelled. A couple of years ago, when you had about 10 different students who were accepted and it turned out that they had submitted racist posts on social media, the university suspended them and rescinded their acceptance.
Right.
So the fact that when it comes to Jewish people, all of a sudden we wish we could do something, but we just can't because of the First Amendment is breathtaking in its hypocrisy.
Claudine Gay has apologized for her congressional testimony, but it's important to note, Shabbos, this wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was testimony that was literally prepared by a top-notch law firm, and she's apologizing for it. Obviously, there was some forethought that went into it. She was wrong. Now she's trying to walk it back to save her job. Shabbos Kestenbaum, thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it, as always.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.